Episode 5 of The Last of Us featured the most heartbreaking ending yet, and we are still trying to wrap our heads around what happened. There is a lot to unpack from this episode and a lot of hidden clues and takeaways that were easy to miss. So, in this video, we are going to break down everything we saw in Episode 5, what it means, and make some bold predictions about what's to come in Episode 6. Let's get started with our list of 6 takeaways. Number 1. Kathleen's power trip. The episode starts 10 days before the last one ended, giving us some context about what Joel and Ellie stumbled into. We find Kathleen talking to a group of people locked in a cell. Based on what she says, we can assume that they were informants to Fedra before the Resistance took over the QZ. Kathleen is persistent on finding this Henry, asking them where he is. She tells the group, a bit unconvincingly, that nobody has to die. But after some threatening, she gets information about Henry. She tells them that they will be put on trial and have to do some time. However, we immediately see that change when she leaves the room, as she tells Perry to kill them all. Her demeanor as she talks to the captives is something to take note of. The Resistance has made it so that QZ is free of the tyrannical reign of Fedra, but now Kathleen is acting just like them. It is interesting to see how power can corrupt, even when taking over another fascist group. However, Kathleen's story is just one part of the wild events. This leads us to our next takeaway. Number 2. An alliance built on strong common ground. Another takeaway from the episode is how shared struggles and empathy can create strong alliances. As the episode continues, we learn what happens in the 10 days leading up to Joel and Ellie arriving in Kansas City. We meet Henry and Sam's characters and see them hiding out from the Resistance and trying to survive. We are then brought back to the cliffhanger from last week, where we see Henry and Sam pointing guns at Joel and Ellie. Henry tells them that he doesn't want to hurt them, and is able to convince Joel and Ellie that they have a shared bond over their fugitive status. Joel, of course, isn't happy to let his guard down, but he does so begrudgingly, teaming up with them. We gain even more context, as Henry tells Joel that Kansas City Fedra was incredibly violent toward the residents. However, we also learn that Henry was a collaborator to Fedra, though we get more nuance later. Joel doesn't want to work with Henry, calling him a rat, but they both have something that the other needs to escape. Joel has the ability to fight, and Henry knows the route. Henry's plan is to escape through maintenance tunnels under the city, but the risk is that they are full of infected. Along the way, we learn that the pair of Henry and Sam are not too different from Joel and Ellie. This brings us to our next takeaway. Number 3. The intense power of relationships. Episode 5 features some heartwarming moments, and one of the biggest themes is the power of the relationships in them. When the group takes off into the tunnels, they are surprised that they are empty. The group finds a little room that clearly used to have people in it, and Joel explains that people hid underground in settlements after the outbreak day. Ellie asked what happened to the group that was there, and Joel says that they probably didn't follow the rules and ended up infected. This provides a little foreshadowing, hinting at the likelihood of infected underground. The group spent some time in the settlement to wait out the sunlight. This scene is important as we see Joel express some empathy in the episode, as he walks back what he said about Henry being a rat. He says that he understands why Henry did what he did, taking care of Sam. After all, Joel can relate and empathize with doing extreme things to take care of someone. In the moment, Henry confesses more of the details. He explains that Sam was sick with leukemia and that he needed to bring him medicine that was. It is hard to blame them for doing what they have done in their situations. This scene also has moments that are really pleasant, as we see some joy between Ellie and Sam, getting to act like children. The two are able to bond over their shared love of a comic book and play some soccer. In a new scene, we learn more about Kathleen's past and getting a deeper glimpse into her motivations. She discusses how important her brother was to her and how she wants revenge, even though it's not what her brother would have wanted. Still, Perry tells Kathleen that they are on her side completely, ready to hunt Henry, showing us another situation of a person willing to do something terrible for someone they care about. Above all else, this episode highlights the power of relationships and the incredible lengths that people will go to in order to protect someone they love. This fits the overall theme of the show we have seen so far. Now let's turn to our next takeaway. Number 4. The most terrifying infected scene of the show. The first half of episode 6 is pretty quiet, but the action picks up quick, giving us one of the most intense scenes in the series yet. Our group of 4 think that they are in the clear and start talking about their next steps, but then they are suddenly shot at. The group takes cover behind a car, and we see a bit of a meaningful moment. Joel plans to track down the shooter, but Ellie is not happy about the plan. Joel asks Ellie if she trusts him, and she nods yes. It's clear now that after watching their bond develop over the past episodes, the relationship has gotten much stronger. Joel is able to take out the shooter, but then a walkie-talkie comes on with Kathleen's voice, and all of a sudden a crowd of military vehicles are approaching. Joel takes out the driver of one of the vehicles, but the group is cornered. Kathleen comes out and tells Henry that he made a mistake saving Sam, and coldly says that maybe Sam was supposed to die. Kathleen then prepares to shoot Henry right there, but all of a sudden, the truck that crashed falls into a hole in the ground, and an entire army of infected runs out at the Resistance soldiers. Ellie, Sam, and Henry take off running. Meanwhile, Joel is able to fire at the infected from the house, following Ellie with the sniper rifle and taking down the infected that are chasing her. Then, something even more terrifying comes up from the ground. Suddenly, we see our first bloater, who takes on the resistance soldiers with no problem and easily throws them around. We were wondering what was bubbling underground in the last episode, and we finally have our answer. Ellie still tries to defend Henry and Sam, stabbing the infected trying to pull Sam and Henry from underneath a car. Kathleen still catches up to the group and tries to stop them, but she is attacked and taken down by an infected child, which almost seems like a weird form of justice for the lack of empathy she showed for young Sam's situation. It also takes us back to the fact that Kathleen let her desire for revenge take over the chance to stop the infected building underground earlier. Meanwhile, our group of 3 is able to escape as a flood of infected, unlike anything we have seen so far, continues to attack the resistance soldiers in a fiery battle. Above all else, the scene is a harrowing reminder that humanity has virtually no defense against the infected. This brings us to our next takeaway. Number 5, a heartbreaking ending explained. The ending of episode 5 is probably the most difficult one yet. That's saying a lot, considering all of the emotions we've felt over the first few episodes of the show. At the end of the episode, the group is able to escape the infected and wind up in a motel room. Things seem peaceful as the group is able to rest, and Ellie and Sam go back to reading their comic book. Sam and Ellie bond more as he asks Ellie if she gets scared, and she confesses to Sam that she is scared all the time. Overall, we see a lot more expression of emotion and vulnerability from both Joel and Ellie in this episode. Joel even offers that Henry can go to Wyoming with them, in a shocking display of emotion from him. However, we see that Sam was bit in the ankle. Ellie tries to use her blood to place it on the wound, saying that her blood is like medicine, which is a little naive. But she tries it and promises to stay awake with him. But she passes out in the chair, and when she wakes up in the morning, Henry is sadly infected and attacks her, tackling her to the ground. Joel goes to stop the infected Sam, but Henry points the gun at Joel. However, he suddenly turns the gun and almost instinctually shoots his infected brother to save Ellie. Henry is clearly in shock at what he just did, shooting the only person he had to live for. He then turns the gun on himself and fires. Once again, we get really close to characters, just for us to lose them at the end of the episode. However, the role of Henry and Sam is important. Like we have seen in the other episodes so far, the two characters give us a different lens into the relationship between Ellie and Joel, showing a different pair of people in a similar situation. This brings us to our final takeaway. Number 6, what's next? At the end of the episode, we see Joel and Ellie bury Sam and Henry. In this final scene, Ellie is emotionless, having little reaction to the deaths. She coldly asks which way west is, and urges Joel to hurry up so they can keep going. There is no way that this turn of events will not have a very strong emotional impact on Joel and Ellie. Seeing the way that Henry and Sam died is also a powerful reminder to Joel and Ellie that they could always be next. This may make the bond between Ellie and Joel stronger, but the awful feeling of building these new relationships just to lose them will have to take a toll as well. Having to suppress such powerful emotions will also likely have an impact, so we wonder how these suppressed emotions will come to the surface. In the teaser for the next episode, we see that Ellie and Joel finally reach Wyoming, and we see Joel get reunited with Tommy. We also see Tommy upset with Joel about their past of killing people. So we look forward to learning more about what happened in the 20-year gap between Outbreak Day and us finding Joel again. It looks like there will be some tension between the two. The teaser also shows more action, like Ellie firing a gun from horseback, so it doesn't look like the show's action is slowing down at all. Episode 7 will be released back on the normal schedule, releasing on HBO Max on February 19th, and we will be back to break it down. What did you think of episode 5 of The Last of Us? What moment stuck out to you most? Let us know down in the comments. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future breakdowns from The Last of Us, or any of the other hottest shows and movies right now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.